The auction hall on Dreshar 9 was lit with the eerie shimmer of plasma lamps. The air was thick with the scent of spice, sweat, and ozone from the containment fields that kept the merchandise restrained. I had been warned before coming here that humans had no place in the slave markets of the Outer Rim, but I wasn't here to buy, not really. I was here on a mission, though I hadn't decided how far I would take it. The auctioneer, a hulking Varkan with scales that gleamed like molten bronze, bellowed into the microphone. "Behold the finest Zarian maidens. Strong hips, strong lungs, and strong bloodlines. Fit for warriors, kings, and anyone with credits heavy enough to buy a legacy." The crowd roared approval. Dozens of alien races, their eyes glittering with greed, leaned forward. Some licked their lips. Some twitched mandibles. I stood in the back, hands shoved into my jacket pockets, trying to look casual. Humans were rare out here. Most aliens thought we were fragile curiosities, good for menial work or amusement, not for power, which made me stand out more than I wanted. Then the cages rolled forward. 5 Zarian women stood in shimmering restraints. They were tall, muscular, with horns that curved elegantly and scales that glistened with colors like gemstones. The first 4 were breathtaking: golden, crimson, sapphire, emerald. Their bodies looked sculpted for war and beauty. The crowd murmured hungrily. And then came the 5th. She was different. Her horns were chipped, uneven. Her scales were a dull gray, mottled in strange patterns. One eye had a scar running across it, clouding the iris. She didn't hold her head high like the others. She hunched, as though she'd learned long ago what the crowd thought of her. The auctioneer sneered. And finally the runt. Barely worthy of the name Zarian. But perhaps someone has low standards or a twisted sense of humor. The hall erupted in laughter. Mocking whistles. Someone shouted, "Pay me to take her." Her lips tightened, but she didn't look up. I don't know why, but my chest tightened. Something in the way she bore the humiliation, silent, unflinching, stirred me. The auctioneer clapped his claws. "So then, which jewel shall we start with? Place your bids." Credits flew like sparks in a forge. The golden-scaled beauty went first for a fortune. Then the crimson, then the sapphire. My head swam at the numbers. Enough to buy a starship, spent casually on flesh. And then, now the runt. The auctioneer barked out a laugh. "Let's start the bidding at 100 credits. Anyone?" "No." 50. The crowd jeered. Nobody raised a hand. Without thinking, I lifted mine. The hall fell silent. Then the laughter erupted again, harsher, sharper. "The human takes her," someone howled. "Of course, the human doesn't know value. Ugliest one in the lot, and he wants her," another snorted. The auctioneer smirked, his teeth like daggers. "Sold to the human." The restraints released with a hiss, and the gray-scaled Zarian stumbled forward. She didn't look at me, didn't speak, just stood with her scarred face lowered. The others sneered as she passed. The crowd booed. And I was trying to figure out what the hell I had just done. The middle, a choice with consequences. Her name was Syrah. I learned it in the silence of my small rented ship hours later, when she finally spoke. Her voice was rough, like gravel rubbed against steel, but steady. "You shouldn't have chosen me." I glanced at her across the cabin. She sat rigid, hands clasped in her lap, avoiding my eyes. "Why not?" She turned her scarred gaze on me. "Because you've bought shame. The others would have brought you respect, alliances, wealth. Me. I'll only bring mockery." Leaned back. "I didn't buy you for respect." That made her flinch. Her jaw clenched, then she whispered, "Then why?" The truth was I didn't know. Maybe I pitied her. Maybe I was angry at the crowd's cruelty. Or maybe it was something else, something deeper I couldn't name yet. Because you looked like you needed someone to choose you, I said finally. She stared at me for a long time. And for the first time, her lips twitched, almost a smile. We traveled together after that. First it was awkward. She kept her distance, always expecting orders or cruelty. But I didn't treat her that way. I asked her to sit at the table, not on the floor. I let her choose what food to eat. I didn't touch her without asking. Slowly something shifted. She started to talk. Little things at first. Her favorite spices, her homeworld storms, the songs her mother used to sing. And then came the night when pirates attacked. They boarded fast, claws clanging on the metal. I grabbed my rifle, but before I could fire, Syrah moved like lightning. Her gray scales shimmered strangely in the emergency lights as she tore through them. Not with elegance like the jeweled Zarian warriors, but with raw, feral power. She fought like the storm she described, her scarred eye blazing. When it was over, 6 pirates lay broken, and she stood panting, blood splattered across her scales. She looked at me ashamed. "Ugly," she whispered. "Savage." But I didn't see ugliness. I saw someone who had just saved my life. "You're beautiful," I said. Her eyes widened. From then on we grew closer. She laughed more. She sang once, softly, when she thought I was asleep. And she protected me like no one ever had. But the galaxy didn't forget. Word spread. The human with the ugly Zarian. Every port we landed in, people mocked. Some tried to buy her from me for scraps of credits. Just to insult us both. I ignored them. Syrah ignored them too. Until one day, the insults grew into danger. On the mining colony of Brask, a jeweled Zarian warlord confronted us. He was massive, scales gleaming ruby red, armor plated with gold. "You shame my people, human," he snarled. Walking beside that thing. Syrah stepped forward, her shoulders trembling. I could feel her fear, but also her fury. "She is worth more than your entire harem," I snapped. The warlord laughed. "Prove it. Trial by combat. Her against me. If she loses, she dies. If she wins, well, she won't win." The crowd roared approval. Bloodsport always sold well. I looked at Syrah. She looked back. And for the first time, I saw no fear in her scarred eye. Only determination. The ending. What made her special? The arena lights blazed. The warlord circled her, massive and gleaming, while the crowd jeered. "Ugly! Broken!" they shouted. Syrah said nothing. She stood tall, her scarred face calm. The fight began. He lunged, horns lowered. He dodged barely. His claws slashed, sparks flying. She moved like the storm again, unpredictable, wild. He mocked her, called her names. But she didn't falter. She endured. She struck back again and again, until his laughter faltered into snarls. Then she saw her opening. With a roar she leapt, horns colliding with his. The crack echoed like thunder. His jeweled horns shattered. The warlord fell. The arena went silent. Syrah stood over him, chest heaving, her gray scales gleaming under the lights. She looked at me then, and in her scarred face I saw it. The strength, the resilience, the beauty the others never had. The crowd erupted. Not laughter, not mockery. Oh! I ran to her, ignoring the stares. She caught my arm, and for the first time she smiled fully without fear. "Now do you understand?" she whispered. "Why they called me ugly?" "Yes," I said, pulling her close. "Because they were too blind to see what was special."